I do a chat show in Ireland and I had Oti recently on the show. She subsequently won with Calvin Fletcher and then with Bill Bailey, but she talks...
Yeah, rub it in.
I'm sorry. She talks about your Samba as one of the most kind of memorable, pivotal moments in her life.
And I'm exactly the same. It was like I don't know whether to say like life-affirming, life-changing moment, but it's one of those moments that in my life I genuinely will never forget.
The Graham Norton Radio Show
on Virgin Radio.
So for anyone who hasn't seen Assassins or heard about it, set it up for us.
So it's basically it's a device that allows us to see the assassins or attempted assassins of American presidents put into one room. And it kind of sounds kind of drab, but then there is this like a brilliant sort of barbershop quartet where they sing about how wonderful guns are, and obviously it's all very ironic and
very
it's all
American.
To make a point. Yeah, exactly. And obviously we know they are not wonderful, but it's the point that it makes is it enables us to see how history can repeat itself and what pushed these people to do these terrible things. But in these characters' eyes, they were heroes. They thought they were doing the right things, or they were just outright insane. So to put them all into one room and let them play this scene out, it's in like 90 minutes. There's no interval. It runs straight through. And it really is a magnificent piece. Like the writing alone and script work on it is phenomenal. And seeing these characters converse and meet and talk is amazing. And then you've got the music of Stephen Sondheim, who is a genius, probably maybe arguably one of the greatest musical theatre writers of all time. And he's kind of known as the Shakespeare of musicals, essentially. It was usually set in a fairground, and we are setting it at a kind of right-wing presidential rally, which is quite prevalent and up to date. So it's very interesting to see these characters in that environment.
Tell me this now. I'm going to take you back a little bit because a lot of people will know you from playing Dodger in Hollyoaks from 2011 to 2015. During that time, Danny, you'll know where I'm going. You were voted 3 times as Soap's Sexiest Man and twice as the Sexiest Male at the British Soap Awards. Now, is that something that haunts you, or, is there some sort of plaque, pride of place in the utility room?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's the older I get, the more pride of place it takes, to be honest. So at the time, I mean, it's never not going to be flattering, is it? Let's be honest. Don't get me wrong, it is categorically a stupid award. So it doesn't need to exist, and I'm glad that we progressed past the point of that award existing anymore.
Yes.
I always tell everyone that they retired it because of me.
Can't beat him. Can't beat him.
That was it. But it's never going to get any better than that. But we know that's not true.
No, it's there.
So,
you're hanging on to it.
So I hang on to it, because it's something I'm going to embarrass my daughter with, I think, for the rest of her life.
Yeah, great. I mean, I feel like there'll be lots of those things, Danny. It's kind of the nature of the gig, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you were the runner-up on Strictly. I do a chat show in Ireland and I had Oti recently on the show, and we talked about she subsequently won with Calvin Fletcher and then with Bill Bailey, but she talks...
Yeah, rub it in.
I'm sorry. She talks about your Samba.
Yeah.
As one of the most kind of memorable, pivotal moments in her life, not just in her time on Strictly. She said you were on stage, everyone had done Samba before, but they hadn't done this like wild African-inspired Samba, which, obviously was very emotionally charged for her. She was really invested in it. But she said people halfway through were on their feet, roaring.
Yeah, it was. I mean, and I'm exactly the same. It was like I don't know whether to say like life-affirming, life-changing moment, but it's one of those moments that in my life I genuinely will never forget. When you do Strictly, it's already, and I know it sounds so cliched and people are like, it's the best time ever, and I'm sure people haven't had the best time ever, but it's a really special show. Everyone that makes it is amazing. So, and you're geared up, you're invested in it, and luckily for me, I had nothing else on. I wasn't a presenter still having to nip off and go and do work or anything. I'm an actor.
Yeah.
I had the break. I wasn't going to try and squeeze in anything else. And I just committed to doing that because I saw it as an opportunity for me to learn and train and just better myself, really, because I knew I could use those skills later, hopefully, and I did.
Yeah.
But when that happened, it was electric. Like, we went out there And I mean, me and Oti had our own journey, and for me, you know, her trying to get the confidence out of me, being myself on screen and try to get up there, was really terrifying for me. So once we got to that week 10, and you know, we got better and better and better, but something happened with this routine, and like you said, Oti was so invested in the style of it. The people who choose the music, and Jason, who's amazing, who sort of oversees all of the routines, he creates a show called Burn the Floor. And it's one of his big songs he uses on that show, and no one's ever been allowed to use it strictly. And he let Oti have it, but he said, if you mess this up, he said, I will kill you. And so he came into the rehearsal room, and I didn't know what we were producing because I've never done that dance style before. I've never danced like that. So I just did what Oti told me to do, and we rehearsed it. We performed it for Jason, and I remember he came over to me, grabbed my face, and just kissed me because he was so proud of what we had looked like, that we hadn't messed it up.
Yeah.
And my God, he's such a great guy as well, and he's so helpful. But I mean, what Oti did with that routine,
insane.
And then we went out, because then we started to go out on the Saturday and do it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it started. I think we were first up that week, and we had just got 40 on the week before in Blackpool.
So a lot to live up to.
Yeah, and you think maybe you've already peaked then. And we honestly, we didn't know how it was going to be. We didn't know if it was going to be received well or go like that.
Yeah.
But something happened. Like, it was like an explosion of energy in that room. And it was wild.
Amazing. And you kind of say that idea of you, you know, being yourself, I suppose, and Oti trying to get that out of you. Because I think for an actor, you know, you often, not that you hide, but you're presenting as somebody else, so people know a character as opposed to you. So I can imagine how that might be, you know, difficult to show yourself in front of however 10 million people. But equally, you're very directable, aren't you?
As what do you mean? As yourself?
Yeah, like as an actor, you're trained. You're not going, excuse me, that's not how I am. You're kind of thinking, Oti, tell me what to do and I'll do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's that completely. And we had a great rapport because from a performance, every routine of our hours, which is why I think people just took to us as a partnership so well. Like, the feedback we got was so positive all the time. It was lovely. And I think it's because I went in there with, I need a character, I need a reason for doing the moves, I need a reason for dancing. And Oti was like, well, these are the steps you've got to do. So the combination of how meeting why was like, it was like we had our own little mini performance, mini show, mini musical every night, mini ballet, essentially. So it just sort of, it became completely understandable. And I think people went, oh, I really loved the story. I loved the story of the dance every week, rather than just getting out there and doing steps. So I think people were able to connect to us and connect to the routines. And that's what made them so special. Well,
if you haven't, go and watch the Samba. I mean, go and watch them all. But Danny Mac and Oti Mabusi's Samba is worth a watch on a Saturday morning. Thank you so much, Danny. And good luck. Danny stars as Booth in Assassins at the Chichester Festival Theatre between the 3rd and the 24th of June. Tickets are available at cft.org.uk.